how do you keep a friendship with someone who has the opposite political opinion from you? So, you know what? I might have asked that the wrong way because really how this came up is Q and I were talking before we started, doing some show prep. And, the question came up, and I'm like, why don't we have this question for the benefit of our listeners? Perhaps they might be going through that. So I'm going to put it on you, Q. Ask me the question, set us up, uh, and then we'll go from there because you were asking it to me.
Yeah, I was not asking it in good faith the way that you positioned it.
My
Um,
bad.
because my question wasn't how do you remain friends with someone that you have different political beliefs
Okay.
as?
So help me
That's
out.
not hard. I've had Republican friends my whole life.
Hmm.
Some of my mother's best friends when I was a child were Republican.
Hmm.
Most of the things that they wanted out of this lifetime for their families and for each other were the same. The difference would be the percentage that they were being taxed on their check. You know what I mean? The differences in their politics were very, very minute details and very, very direct and slight changes in policy, most often reflected in their paychecks. Like it was almost always having to do with taxes.
Hmm.
Who's going to let me keep the most of my money was almost always the reason why my mother's friends who were Republican were Republican. Most of the other things they agreed with my mom on how they wanted the world to look for their children, for their parents, for themselves, and for their neighbors were very similar. So it
Yeah.
wasn't difficult to remain their friends. After the election, you wouldn't even talk about politics until the next election because the impact on your life for about 30 years wasn't that extreme,
Yeah, you didn't notice it.
right? Like our economy always did worse under Republicans and always did better under Democrats. That was the ebb and flow, right? And Republicans almost always, especially for our lifetime, kind of depended on the same thing they still depend on now. It just wasn't as extreme. And that was racism. And racism shaped so many of the systems that came to play that drove, shaped, and cultivated the political right in this country. Um, the question being asked now, Ramses, is not honestly about political differences. It's far more extreme than that. And this question came up when we were preparing our segment on Charlie Kirk. I was just talking about how I've always heard people talk about the different algorithms that social media uses for each of us individually. I was not so certain that our overall social media reality was different, like planets away,
Hmm.
until Charlie Kirk died.
Yeah.
And personal friends of mine, I don't mean that loosely or casually. I don't mean industry friends. I don't mean people that we've met out in the world as we do our
Yeah.
jobs. I
Important
mean,
people.
20, 25-year friendships, people who know and love my children and my mom, who know and are loved by my children and my mom,
Hmm.
came at me for my position on Charlie Kirk, questioned my humanity, Ramses. People who have never met Charlie Kirk, but have known me and my family for decades, came at the person I am in defense of him because all he was doing was spreading the message of Jesus. And I said, whoa, the algorithm really is serving us two different realities because these were smart people,
Yeah.
well intentioned people.
I know what you're talking about. So,
Again, people who love me,
yeah.
love my children, love my mom, and get that love back
For decades. Yeah.
were really upset with me for my position on the human being who was Charlie Kirk. So asking, how do you remain friends with people who have political differences? That's the way they keep framing it. And by they, I mean the right.
Okay.
They keep framing it that way. You should be able to disagree on politics and still be friends. You're absolutely right. I've been disagreeing on politics with friends of mine for years. This thing is different now, Rams. It's not about politics. We're disagreeing about humanity. We're disagreeing about people deserving to live, even if they look, love, pray, and live their lives in a way that's different than yours. We're disagreeing about whether genocide is wrong. We're disagreeing about whether or not people should be stripped away from their families, kidnapped, killed, disappeared. We're not disagreeing about the percentage of taxes that we're paying. We're not just disagreeing about gerrymandering. We're not just disagreeing about redlining, reparations. We're not just disagreeing about policy anymore. We've allowed so many different people to be othered and for them to be dehumanized so that it's okay when they're treated in a way that you know isn't okay. But you can justify it when you've determined that these people are worth less than you are, that their children are worth less than you are, that their families are worth less than yours, that they somehow deserve to be treated in inhumane ways. They deserve to not have any rights or freedoms. They deserve to be arrested, detained, beat up, assaulted, raped, killed with impunity because they have a different accent than you. They dress different than you. They love different than you. They pray different than you. Such an effective job has been done for so long at othering and dehumanizing people that you're willing to call yourself a Christian while you not just accept, but root for, vote for, and support people who are doing very un-Christ-like things on a daily basis. Because I guess only you and your family deserve the love of God, the grace of God, the forgiveness of God. You and your family are the ones that are without sin. Just you all. So the question about politics and friendship in this climate, your politics being unaligned with mine mean that everything about the person that you are is unaligned with me. How is there room for a friend who would allow my children to be fatherless, that would vote for it, that would support it, that would fund it? How is there room for friendship? How am I supposed to believe that if you and I were somewhere and someone chose to violate me in any way, that you would even interfere? Because all I've ever spoken about with regard to these things are me. I don't even make it a grand thing about the whole world. I'm talking about me and my kids. I say it that way on purpose. Maybe the audience won't always identify, but the people who I'm trying to get through to, you know, y'all, the ones who have held my children, when even then you stood opposed to me, when the subject of the conversation are my babies, and even then you couldn't relate to my position, then you just told me you're not my friend.
Yeah. I want to just offer something here, if I may. Ramses, this is not about me. I held both of your kids the days that they were born.
Both of them. You were first both times.
Yeah, I was
first
there.
person that they were not
So
born.
I just want the listeners to know this is I know this isn't just one person. I think this is a few people that you're referring to, but you know, I know these people and I know how challenging that is. I maintain friendships, more professional friendships with people who I know work in the same space and have a different political position. And there's a number of reasons for that. But it is a challenging position to hold. But I think that For me, the reason that it's necessary is because it's kind of like the same reason that I subscribe to those like right wing, it's okay to be white type of, threads on the internet. It is okay to be white, just so we're all on the same page. It's okay to be whatever you are. That's just what you are. But that's the name of a group on the internet that they just kind of share talking points and memes and whatever their interpretation of often forged or fudged data. And it's a strange like hate filled echo chamber. So it's kind of the same reason. I need to know these people so I know what they're thinking. I need to engage with these people so I know how people on that side of the aisle engage, how they arrive at the conclusions that they arrive at, right? It's too simple to simply say, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's too simple if indeed you want to affect change. It's too simple to simply say, everybody over there is racist and hates me, and that's the end of the story. There has to be more details there. If for no other reason than, even if that was true, as soon as you say the word racism, they all turn off the conversation. And if they have the power, remember, there's white men in this group. If they have the power and you call them racist and they don't want to be called racist, then that's the end of the conversation, and they have the power, right? So it is a poor strategy to only go into that fight with that one weapon, even if the weapon is just, right? So for me, not only does it give me insight into the way these people think, and I'm allowed to get more weapons, get more talking points, get more perspectives of their understanding of the world. And the truth is, you find out their frustrations and why they're grasping at straws to gain some understanding, to piece their worldview together. Why is my life like this? It must be these people. Why don't I have a beautiful woman? It must be because of the women's movement. Why don't I have more money? It must be because the immigrants. And why don't I, this is just factually a lot of what happens over there. But for a person whose beliefs and belief system can only exist if it is rooted in the oppression of me and my people, it is very challenging to have a friendship or any sort of relationship with that type of person. But I think that for me, reframing it away from the intention of their belief system is to oppress me. Instead of thinking of it like that, think of it in terms of the intention of their belief system is to alleviate some of the disappointment that they have in their own life, some of the frustration that they have in their own life, some of the blank that they have in their own life, misery, etc. And a byproduct of this is the oppression of me and my people. Then I can see a little bit of their humanity, right? And when I engage with the humanity part of it. And then I beat them consistently with that, because wrong is wrong and right is right. But if you don't attack the person and you attack the wrong, then I think you can have a more, this doesn't always work this way. Some people are gone, they're gone forever. I recognize that. I'll seed it up front. But working in this space, I wouldn't work in this space to just get on the radio and complain every day. I don't like complaining any more than I'm sure you like listening to people complain. Complaining sucks. You know what I mean? But I think, and we build the show. Q always credits me as like sort of a secondary producer of the show, the leader or whatever. And that's not it. This is the QR code. So we don't do nothing unless Q wants to do it. But as far as my input matters, I think that both Q and I make a show that we feel makes a difference, is healing on some level. We don't stoke hate and say, go get them. That's not what we do. We have to point out the wrongdoing so that you could be aware of it. But in order to find the wrongdoing and to come up with the strategy, Q and I are literally writing the book on allyship as we speak. And so in order to figure out how all of these things work together, it requires a lot of grace. I have to take a lot of gut punches and slaps in the face from really, really hurtful things that people say to me. And I have to know in my heart that they probably don't mean it that way. They're hurting themselves. And so I fall on a lot of swords. I have to turn a lot of cheeks. I have to do this because I feel like the long path is the long suffering path here. And I don't need anybody to pat me on my back. As long as my children at the end of my life can say, my dad was a good man and he was good to me, that's all I really need. But it's just in my heart. I wake up in the morning and I feel like I just need to do the right thing. And you have gifts. People tell me my whole life I have gifts. And I just feel like this is the right thing to do. And they can hate me all they want. And I just got to do my best to try not to hate them back. They make it very hard because it comes very easily, I think to people. But I just have to try really hard to not hate them back. So in order for me to insulate myself from, I think, that natural tendency, it's like I demand of myself that I love them through their ignorance and through their divisive rhetoric and through the hurtful things that they say to me. And so when you see me talking on this show, in fact, we're going to be talking to people on this show. We have some guests booked. In fact, when you see me talking to people that don't agree with me on anything, I might sound crazy when I talk to them, but I promise you, I'll call them and check up on them like an actual friend would do. And I mean it my friendship, I mean it. You could ask Q. So yeah, you go ahead and respond.
I have to say, man, like the hope, the grace, and the benefit of the doubt that you extend it's admirable.
Yeah, I know.
But how long do you let them use ignorance?
I'm trying to use them though
as an escape hatchet.
Yeah, that's
right. When I say to you, hey man, who they're talking about are my children. If your response isn't, oh, my bad, you're not my friend. Like, what are we talking about?
That's fair. That's
who they're targeting are my babies, friend.
Yeah.
You're like, well, too bad.
No, that's crazy.
No legislation that would be pushed forward that if you said to me, whoever you are on the other side of the table who have different politics than me, where you can show me this thing is going to harm my children. And my response would be, hey, that's too bad. That's who I voted for. And that's who I'm going to stick with. There's no such thing. There's no such candidate. There's no such policy. Mm-hmm. So we can make it far more simple, man. Like, I'll allow you to use the word friend that liberally. I will not. My children will be harmed by this thing you support. If your response is anything but, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would never support something that would harm your children, Q. Then you're not my friend. Plainly. I don't care how much grace I'm extending or how much this conversation needs to continue and how I don't want you to shut down and how I want to try to no. Right? Maybe we started this conversation with you doing something that was just centered on you protecting you and yours. But once I make it clear that that thing you're protecting harms me and mine, you're allowed to be selfish and say too bad, but you're not allowed to say too bad and be my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a viral video of you making that point on our social media.
30 million views in.
Yeah. And it's a masterful point, and it's a point that's well made. And I recognize that you keep me from getting too far into this end, and for better or worse, I keep the information flowing in so that we can be effective in our chosen career path. But, I guess it's one foot in front of the other.